Hello, hello, hello. All right, this is Stumpy from the Wide Variety Crew right here on YouTube. And we're bringing to you another basic understanding of a character, and this is Tallon. I really like Tallon. Tallon, in my opinion, is probably one of the most mobile champions in League of Legends. He's the one I use for mid laning. He's just all around a great tune. So basically, he is just a badass. With his shurikens and craziness, and we'll get right into him. We'll get right into his abilities here. Okay, so first you got his Q. As Q, he hops to an enemy champion. So he'll basically jump on them and stabbing them and doing a little bit of damage there. It's a good gap closer. And he just pretty much all around, he gets to going with that. I usually pick that up about level 2. It's a really good gap closer, like I said, and it really opens the door for good combo attack for him. And then you got his W, which is what I get first. I usually get his W first. That's his rake. His rake is going to send a volley of daggers, and then they return back to him. So they pass through him, causes damage, and if you can get it to where it snaps back and it hits him again, that again does more damage. So you have a chance on hitting them twice with your W, and it's really super good for clearing minions. The clear on that, it's just super helpful when it comes to trying to get good CS going, and it's also good for a combo. Plus, if you can throw it as they're running away, you have a chance to hit them once, and then it'll hit them again. So you got an opportunity to hit them 2 more times as they're running away. And if your Q's cool down, then you can hop on them and go, start all over again on them. But it's really good. It's really good for clearing. That's his W. I always get that first. I get the rake first, then I get my Q, and then I follow that up with my E. Now, our E is the Assassin's Path. It allows you to jump over walls. Now every time you jump over a wall, it has a cooldown timer, a red line that will surround that wall that you just jumped over. Now the lower your cooldown gets, that line will start to change color. When it turns to a yellow, that means time's almost up, and then once that line goes completely away, then you can jump over that wall again. But you can only jump over the wall once. If it's red, you cannot jump back over it. So it's something to really pay attention to, especially if you're kind of new to Tallon, which is why I'm making this. Obviously, for all you veterans out there, this video is really, not for a veteran. This is just for someone who is starting to, wants to try out Tallon and wants to get a basic understanding. So the Assassin's Path helps a lot, especially when you're trying to get away, you're almost dead, you're close to a wall, you just launch over the wall, then you hit another wall, jump over that one, and you can really get away from your enemies relatively easy with Assassin's Path. So for me, that's one of my favorite things about this Tallon, especially since the new update. Used to, it was a little different. Now, with the patches and everything that they've done to change Tallon, the rework, I really like the way they have that set up. So again, I go W, Q, then E, and then I'll max out my W, and then I'll max out my Q. Obviously, you max out your R. Every chance you get, that's your ulti. So now that we're talking about that, it's the Shadow Assault. His ult, his R. Tallon's R is amazing. Tallon disappears in a ring of blades and becomes invisible while gaining additional movement speed. When Tallon emerges from invisibility, the blades coverage of his location, each blade moves and it comes back to Tallon, and as it comes back to the Tallon, it deals physical damage to the enemies hit by one of the blades. Now what it does is if you're invisible and you try to hit somebody, you automatically lose your invisibility, but it makes it really good if you're trying to evade, or if you're actually just using it to make your kill. Super powerful, super strong, and it hits super hard. It's beautiful. I love it. Talon's all around an amazing character. Usually what I do, in my combo that I would use for Tallon in a situation, well, I'll hit him with a W. As my W's coming back to me, I Q into them, then hit the R, and usually by that time, you know, your W's just about ready again. You hit him with that again, and it does a significant amount of damage. Especially if you hit them about, when they're about 30% life, if you was to hit them with that combo, it's almost guaranteed death for them. And again, it's super awesome. He's super strong. I don't understand why more people don't play him. They used to play him a lot, you know, back in the day, but people seem to kind of, you know, veer away from Tallon. I don't know why. He's super amazing. Now we're gonna look at his skins. I only have one skin for Tallon because personally I only like one of his skins, and that is the Blood Moon Tallon here. Blood Moon Tallon. He looks super cool when he goes back. He stands on this light post thing and then it falls. It's really cool looking. I really like the Blood Moon, all the Blood Moon characters. It really gives that really cool look, and it's just, in my opinion, one of the coolest skins that Tallon has. Just like a lot of champions. A lot of champions that have Blood Moon, you know, it really does give them that extra pop. I really like that. I like the Blood Moon. But enough with that. Alright, so now we're going to go into what I like to build with Tallon. When I build with Tallon, what I like to do is obviously go for lethality. So I want to build a complete lethality build. Sorry, my computer's running super slow right now. I got all this stuff open. But we'll give that a second. Okay, so when I build Tallon, what I like to do is, first of all, I like to go for the Ghost Blade. Ghost Blade gives you that lethality and that attack damage, and it's a really nice first item. That's what I go for first almost every time. And then I'll quickly follow that up by Boots of Lucidity, I believe they are. And that gives you that movement speed, and I believe it's attack speed, and they're really good set of boots for them. I get the refillable potion here. The refillable potion, it's going to cut out that headache of trying to get pots all the time. Every time you go back, they actually refill, so you don't have to buy any more potions. Of course, everybody knows about the time you hit level 9 or 10, you really don't use potions anymore anyway, but this really does cut down on that, oh, I forgot my potion, and getting stuck in that situation where you need it and don't have it. Next, after that, I will build my Ravenous Hydra. I like to build Ravenous Hydra. Ravenous Hydra gives you that lifesteal, that attack damage. It's an all-around nice thing. It also helps with clear. When you're trying to clear your minions, you know, it gets that burst, that area burst where, you know, by hitting a minion, this burst will go out and it'll actually hit other minions in the radius, and it's super awesome with that lifesteal and with that extra damage. Super powerful item. That's personally what I like to use with Tallon here. Then Guardian Angel, it gives you that armor, and of course, you know, that annoyingness it gives you when it brings you back to life, that reincarnation. It's really annoying, but that's half the reason why I love it. The fact that it's annoying is what makes Tallon one of my favorite tunes to use. I also like to use the Black Cleaver. The Cleaver really helps when it comes to lethality. I gives them that extra damage, and it's just all around another great, beautiful item. Mixed with the Ghost Blade and the Ravenous Hydra and Boots of Lucidity, it really gives him some serious damage output. I totally love it. Now, if you're in a situation where you're going against somebody with, you know, a lot of magic damage, I like to build a little bit different. I will still build Ravenous Hydra. I'll still build the Ghost Blade. I'll still get my Boots of Lucidity. But sometimes I like to get these items here. These items, I can't remember the names of them right at the moment, but they're for magic resist. This one here and this one here. Again, I think it's the Blade of the Rune King, if I'm not mistaken. And I cannot remember what this was called right now for some reason. It's eluded my mind. But again, they're really good on magic resist. And that's just kind of like what I like to build with Tallon. And it's pretty consistent with the Ghost Blade, Ravenous Hydra, and Boots of Lucidity. Those are usually the first things I always get. No matter who I'm going against, I always get these items. They help me quite a bit. As you can see, my last few games here ain't been too good, but you know, it's okay. I've had a good run. Yesterday was just a really bad day for me. As you can see, I was kind of mixing, matching. Wasn't sure who I was going to do good with that day, and it's, for the most part, it was a decent day, but you know, everybody has a bad day. It's League of Legends. If you ain't had a bad day, then you don't play enough. But anyway, alright, so now I'm going to get into, let's see, what I want to get into here. I want to go ahead and get into his Mastries here. Alright, so I'm going to go in to the Mastries that I have set up for Tallon. So, I just did one on Sona here, so I'm going to go ahead and switch this up. Alright, so now I got my Tallon page up. Now, I use Veracity and Cunning with Tallon. I start out by putting some points. I put 5 points into Sorcery. That gives you 2.0 increased ability damage. Then I go into Fresh Blood, which your first basic attacks against the champion deals an additional 10 plus 1 per level damage, and it's got a 6-second cooldown. Next, I'm going to go into Vampirism. Alright, that's 2.0% lifesteal and Spell Vamp. Next, I go with the Bounty Hunter. It deals 1% increased damage for each unique item the enemy champion you have killed. So, for each unique item your enemy champion has, you get 1% increased damage against that champion. Then I go over into Cunning, which gives you 3% movement speed outside of combat. So, yeah, Wanderer, I'm sorry about that. So, Wanderer gives you 3% movement speed outside of combat, which really helps when you're trying to get away, or you're stuck in that moment where you're almost dead and you hop a couple walls and you're just shitting and getting. That's going to help you get away from them. Hopefully you can get back and get healed back up and go fight the good fight again. Next, I like to put points in Assassin. Assassin deals 2% increased damage to the champion when no ally champions are nearby. So if you're running and fighting by yourself, or you get that, you're running that mid lane, and here comes that gank, or anything, if you're fighting that mid lane especially, because there's no, you know, if you don't have your jungle nearby, then you're by yourself, and that gives you 2% increased damage to champions. So that's definitely a nice little thing to have. Next, I like to go Merciless. Merciless deals 3% increased damage to champions below 40% health. Everyone knows that people like to stick around a little bit too long. When you overstay your welcome, yeah, that's when this comes in handy. 3% increased damage to champions below 40% health. That means you're going to get that extra damage because they're a little bit low on health. Who wants to just go back when you're less than half life? You know, no, you want to stick around, try to farm out. This is where it's going to benefit you. You're going to get that 3% increased damage. Mix that with your Assassin up here, and it deals in 2% when there ain't nobody around. So you got the 2% from that, and then you got the 3% for the Merciless. So essentially, if they're below 40%, with those two things combined, you're doing, you're doing an additional 5% increased damage. It's really nice to have. So next, I like to get Dangerous Games. Champion kills and assists restore 5% of your missing health and mana. Excuse me. So every time you get a kill or an assist, you actually gain some of that life and health back. It's really nice. I like it. Next, I like to use Intelligence. Your cooldown reduction cap is increased to 45%. Usually you're only allowed to get a certain amount of cooldown reduction. So by using this, that increases the cap to 45%, and you gain 5% cooldown reduction just because you have it. So not only does it raise the cap, but it actually gives you some CDR right out of the gate, which is super nice. Next, Thunderlord's Decree. I love Thunderlord's Decree. Your third attack or damage spell against the same enemy champion calls down a lightning strike, dealing magic damage in that area. Damage 10 per level, plus 30% of your bonus attack damage, and 10% of your ability power. 25 to 15 second cooldown based on level. Now, I have personally been in a situation where it has come down to us. We're just beating the hell out of each other. Bitch slapping the hell out of each other. And then it comes down to we're both almost dead. Almost like one of those epic moments where you're both swinging at the same time and you both hit, you both die. But, you know, right before you die, bam, Thunderlord's Decree pops. You strike them on the head. They die. You get away with that annoying little 5 life that everybody can't stand. And you get away, and you barely get away. You hide behind your turret. You get back. You get your new items, and you go right back to lane. But because of Thunderlord's Decree, you just got one kill up on the enemy, which really helps a lot. For his runes, I only have 2 rune pages. Unfortunately, I'm not real big in just spending a lot of money. If I'm going to spend money, I'm going to buy skins. I mean, that's just how I am. But this is my attack damage page. I got an ability power page, and I got an attack damage page. That's pretty much what I use. And so, starting out here, we're going to go on our quintessences. I like to use, obviously, attack damage there. I got attack speed on this one, and I got attack speed on this one. So, for my first one, I got attack damage. It adds 2.25 attack damage. For my next quintessence, I got attack speed, which offers 3.51% attack speed. And I did that twice there. So that's another 3.51% attack speed. Those are for my quintessences. Alright, so for my marks here, my reds, that's what I like to call them, but they're called marks. But I like to use attack damage. So I got 0.74 attack damage. I understand that these are they're not the best runes, but that's just what I use, and they seem to work really good for me. So there's 0.74 attack damage per, and I have all of them with that there. Next, I'm going to go into, let's see here, what do I want? I'll go to my yellows next here. So, excuse me. Okay, so for my seals, I like to go with more attack damage, 0.33 attack damage, and then I've gotten a couple up here, 0.43 attack damage, but they are all attack damage nonetheless. Alright, then I'm going to get down here to my glyphs, and with my glyphs, again, you guessed it, more attack damage. 0.22 to attack damage. Here, I got 0.28 attack damage. Again, I know that I desperately need to upgrade my runes. But I also have a couple attack speeds in here just because I like that extra little get. So I have 0.64 attack speed to go along with my other two. I believe attack damage and attack speed go hand in hand together. And so I like to add that little extra speed there. So basically what this setup here is going to get you, it's going to get you 13.6 attack damage, and it's going to get you 8.9% attack speed. And that, like I said, for me, it works. There's many of different builds, and there's many of different people that have completely different setups, and you yourself are going to find a setup that works for you. What works best with your game style, what works best for you being either super aggressive, or if you're just super defensive. You're going to build your rune page to work around your gaming style. Not saying your way's right or wrong, my way's not right or wrong, nobody else's way's right or wrong. It's whatever your personal preference is. This happens to be my personal preference, and it works well for me. Obviously, you couldn't really tell from my past game history, but it does work, and it's all about playing safe. I was seriously on an extremely aggressive streak yesterday, and that really does affect when it comes to your games. But like I said, it's about having fun. That's what this game is about. So, well, that's pretty much that.